Moscow says it has no connection with the poisoning of the Russian former spy Sergei Skripal in Britain.
Russia is innocent. Russia is ready to cooperate according to the Chemical Weapons Convention if the United Kingdom bothers and condescends to abide by its own international obligations under that convention.
The investigation into the poisoning of Skripal and his daughter is still ongoing. Authorities believe they were deliberately targeted with a nerve agent. Traces of the substance were detected at the restaurant where the two ate before they were found unconscious on a nearby park bench. Well, later in the programme, we'll be going live to our correspondent Polly Boyko for all the latest on this story. Now, Novichok, the nerve agent mentioned by the UK Prime Minister, is a binary gas, meaning it contains a mixture of elements. It was secretly developed by the Soviet Union in the 1980s. However, its formula is no longer confidential. It's reputed to be one of the most deadly nerve agents ever created. Former CIA officer Philip Giraldi believes that Theresa May's allegations veer away from the factual.
Well, I think what we're seeing here is she's making a political point. She essentially is responding to the media in Britain, which is going hysterical on this story. And also, I think she's hoping to hurt your president, Vladimir Putin, by making this statement shortly before the Russian elections. She also said, it appears to be. I mean, appears to be is a rather non-specific expression, which means they don't know. And I would also add that if this were a Russian military-grade nerve agent, the two people involved in this would be dead, and there would be about 100 more people dead in the immediate vicinity of this. So the whole story doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and as you say, it invites analysis that says, how would the Russians be so stupid to do something like this if they really intended to do it and keep it secret?
Well, joining me now live, as promised, is our correspondent Polly Boyko in London. Polly, can you sum up for us what's been the view in Parliament of this incident?
Well, look, we've just heard the Russian foreign minister talking, and we've now got this situation where he says there will be no official response from Moscow until it gets a response from London about what exactly was the nerve agent used in that attack on Yuri and Yulia Skripal. He also said that it's all got nothing to do with Moscow, and that Moscow hasn't received any direct requests from the UK for any information about this. Take a listen to what Sergei Lavrov had to say.
We're waiting for the United Kingdom to respond to a request that we filed in accordance with the very same convention about the necessity to provide us with the substance in question and the necessity to make the whole investigation open to us, because we're talking about a Russian citizen.
So Sergei Lavrov there, referring to Yulia Skripal, that's Sergei Skripal's daughter. She's obviously a Russian citizen, and he's saying that Russia is effectively learning about all this through the media coverage and what's been said in the British Parliament, and that they've had no direct, as I said, approach from the UK in relation to this. We've almost got this diplomatic standoff where both countries are now waiting for official responses from each other. They really appear to be at loggerheads. We've just had the British Foreign Secretary, that's Sergei Lavrov's direct counterpart here in the UK. He's spoken about the latest on this. He says that Russia has until midnight tonight, so he's reiterated that ultimatum. He said if they can come up with a convincing explanation, then obviously they will want to see full disclosure of that to the Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons in The Hague. If not, then they're going to be announcing the UK response tomorrow. In the meantime, Boris Johnson says he's been talking to his foreign counterparts, trying clearly to bolster support for some unified sanctions potentially against Russia. And he says that he's been encouraged by the support he's received so far. Theresa May's statement in the House of Commons was very strongly worded yesterday, and it prompted fierce discussion about Russia's actions on the world stage. in Parliament. You normally use the word debate in relation to the House of Commons, but there was very little debate after Theresa May's statement. There was a rare case of almost unanimous agreement that Russia is behind this and that it requires what's this word that's been used a lot over the past week, a robust response. The Prime Minister appears to have the support of most of the House behind her, although the leader of the opposition Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, he wasn't as explicit in his condemnation of Russia. He drew a lot of criticism for that. Take a listen to what MPs had to say in the House of Commons.
Robust dialogue with Russia on all the issues currently dividing our countries, both domestic and international, rather than simply cutting off contact and letting the tensions and divisions get worse.
I entirely agree with the Prime Minister in her approach to this murderous attack.
We are not backing down. This is an act of terrorism, and all members of Parliament should stand together.
That while we may not be in a period of Cold War with Russia, as we were in the 1980s, because of their actions, it could be said that we are at least now entering a period of cool war.
I have absolutely no doubt that the only way to deal with Putin's regime in Russia is robustly, decisively, and together as a parliament and a country.
Is Russia a fit and proper state to be hosting or engaging in international sporting fixtures in 2018?
We possess a considerable range of offensive cyber capabilities which we will not hesitate to deploy against that state if it is necessary to keep our country safe.
We've all agreed that Russia is a clear and present danger. We have got to be fully organised to meet that danger.
Well, overnight, we also had a response from the US. Rex Tillerson, the US Secretary of State, he put out a statement saying that the poisoning clearly came from Russia, that there's never a justification for this type of attack, the attempted murder of a private citizen on the soil of a sovereign nation, and that we stand in solidarity with our allies in the United Kingdom. Now, the Trump administration had its own response from the White House, but it struck a rather more cautious note. Take a listen.
We stand by our closest ally in the special relationship that we have.
So you're not saying that Russia was behind this attack?
Right now, we are standing with our UK ally. I think they're still working through even some of the details of that. And we're going to continue to work with the UK, and we certainly stand with them throughout this process.
Later on this morning, the Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, she is going to be chairing another emergency COBRA committee meeting. She's going to be getting updates on the progress of this still ongoing investigation as to what happened specifically to Sergei and Yulia Skripal and how that nerve agent came into contact with them. And the cabinet behind the scenes will no doubt be mulling over all the options and all the potential responses that they could find themselves unveiling tomorrow if they get no response from Moscow.